Well, I was in the British Foreign Service for a long time, ending up in India and then Afghanistan. I now am on the board of two charities which work in post-conflict environments, and I'm a trustee of a British university. So I have quite an interest in the world of development and the world of education. Well, from my own experience in Afghanistan and India, the oppression of women in these societies in many instances was very disturbing, and the opportunity to help them to escape and to fulfill their opportunities and their capabilities was very evident and very exciting. And for example, I went to a school in northern Afghanistan not that long ago where all the girls in the village were being educated and learning to read and write. None of their mothers were literate. Well, I think that in order to make change, you need leadership, and really good leadership requires the ability to inspire people, to motivate them, to get them engaged. And I think what the ILT is trying to do is to tap into the energy and potential of thousands of people who can, through their knowledge, their commitment, their experience, help thousands of girls to have opportunities which would not have existed without the ILT, and to allow them to become leaders in their own societies and role models for the younger generation. I think there are probably two strands in this. One is education, and I think that education is the biggest single factor in allowing young girls and women to attain a position in society which they are entitled to expect, to use their talents for their own benefit and for their own society's benefit, and to become models of how women can succeed through education. And I think that is probably the biggest single differentiator. But I think that the second one is through their role in the working environment, where they can change the ethos and culture of the way that business works. They can provide new perspectives on issues very different from those of the men, and they can again provide a vision to younger girls of what they too could achieve going down the same path. I think it's absolutely critical. I mean, living in Afghanistan, it was very clear that it was fine to try and help the women, but it only really worked if the men were also accepting this change and seeing the future differently to the past. And the school I mentioned earlier on, in which the girls were learning where their mothers had not, this whole process was working essentially because the male members of the community, including the elders, saw the benefits. And I think it took some time to persuade them, but once they did, the process moved forward. So men are critical, either as obstacles or as enablers. Well, when I heard about it and heard what it was aspiring to do, I thought it had a very good focus. It was concentrating on things that really mattered, things which would make a difference initially to hundreds, then thousands, then more widely. I thought it had a potential to operate at scale, and I thought that the individuals involved in it were very committed, very enthusiastic, and indeed, as their title suggests, very inspirational. Yeah, I think there is massive evidence that allowing women to play a full part in society changes that society fundamentally. Because it's a rather mad concept to think that any country or any society can thrive without using the talent of half its population. And it was very striking to me that in India, they had a major program creating self-help groups, which were groups of women who got together, produced small basic products and sold them, got their own incomes, used that money to educate their children. It began to change the whole way in which society worked, and it meant that the next generation down, their daughters, would emerge stronger, better educated, more ambitious, more aspirational, wanting to do more for their country, their community and themselves. And I think that if you can get that to happen, you are on a very, very good trajectory. Well, I suppose what I'd like to see is girls having the same opportunities and seizing them as boys do. At the moment there's a massive gap, as we all know, between the opportunities available to the two sexes in parts of the world, and if that could be changed through the energy and effort of the ILT, that to me would be something everyone involved could be hugely proud of and could feel that their energy, their effort, the financial investment had made a major difference. And I think that if you're looking at the role of business in this story, it's very important that business engages, because they too will benefit from this emergence of women to their full potential. And I think that engaging with these young girls and women will not only be a business of trying to give them something that they need, and they do need it in terms of guidance, mentoring, support. But I think those who are offering the mentoring will also gain enormously, because they'll get new perspectives, new ideas, and begin to see that there are other ways of viewing the challenges they face than those that are typical of the boardroom. Well, I think there isn't a sort of a single checklist you can use and then you get an inspiring leader at the end of it. I think that leaders have to have passion and a very clear sense of direction, but they must also be willing to listen, to know they will be wrong sometimes, and to have a degree of humility and honesty about their own limitations. Well, I was a member of the British Foreign Service for many years. The last 8 years I spent in India and Afghanistan, and so I saw at first hand a lot of the world where development is still lagging, and also the environment in post-conflict countries, which is also very important and difficult. I am now the chairman of a bank in India. I am the trustee of 2 charities which work in post-conflict environments, and I'm a trustee of a university in the UK. So I have quite a knowledge and engagement, I hope, of the world of education and the world in which ILT is working in Africa and hopefully more widely in due course. Well, I think they both have roles, but different ones. I think that government can provide large-scale financial support, and the UK, I think it's fair to say, does a very good job in putting large sums into the developing world and trying to ensure that people there get, in particular, the education and healthcare they need and deserve. I think for business, it's a matter of trying to operate in a way which is sympathetic to and supportive of the local community, and which sees its role as being not just to run a profitable business, which is clearly essential, but also to do so in a way which helps the whole society to move forward, to become more developed, to become better educated, to become more a more closely knit, more harmonious community. Because one of the challenges of the modern world is this sense of fragmentation. I think the business, which tends to come to life with a bit more focus maybe than government, can actually show that you can bring together different sorts of people to achieve a shared end. I think that's a very important message in the modern world.